Hey Toon Tracks, it's just easier for me to tell you and show you what I shoot rather than putting it into some text on YouTube. I shoot 2 GoPros. These are GoPro Hero 7s. Right, this one here sits up at the start gate up there. Right, and this one here is on a gimbal. This is called a Tech, I think it is. Gimbal. See if I can get a long shot. This here down the bottom is like a little tripod that screws into this, into the body, and this is a Tech. As I say, it's called a G6. Pretty inexpensive little gimbal, but combine that with the Hero 7 Black, or the GoPro Hero 7 Black, this is what gives us smooth movement, because there's no way that I could shoot from there all the way down through to here, all the way down the straight and back to here with smooth movement. Even though this Hero 7 has, what do they call it, Hyper Smooth? The Hyper Smooth doesn't work very well, really it doesn't. And when you combine, when you have it on the gimbal really just straightens things out. So I just want to show you, so I use 2 of those, right? I shoot everything in manual. And let's just see if this hasn't died on me. Hang on. I shoot everything in manual, and if you can see this, the light's pretty bad. I do apologise. How am I going to do it? So, never shoot anything in auto, period. Always shoot it in manual. I shoot at 1080 at 100 frames a second. I have linear set on this at the start gate. I have stabilisation off because it doesn't need to be stabilised. I have Pro Tune on. I have my shutter speed at 200. Right, and the reason I have it set at 200 is because I shoot 100 frames a second. It needs to be 180 degrees. The shutter needs to be at 180 degrees, so it needs to be double the frame rate. What else have I got on this? I have my white balance is set at 5K. My ISO is at 100. My ISO max is at 400. My sharpness is on medium. My color is GoPro. Raw audio off, mic's auto, and PT settings. I don't even know what that is. So I shoot everything manual. Now, when you shoot manual on the GoPro at 100 frames a second and at a shutter speed of 200, it's very, very dark. And that is why I have all these lights set up. It's still not enough lighting, but I'm okay with it for now. I really need more lighting. You need a lot of light when you shoot with these GoPros because they're crap and low light. They really are crap and low light. They're fantastic outside during the daytime in auto, but as soon as you try to go manual with this thing, it needs a ton of light. So that's why, hence all my lighting, and I've probably carried on enough about all my lighting. And there will be more. It's got to go up here because it gets very dark down there. Even though I'm on my iPhone, it looks very bright. It's not. It's very dark. Then I come down to here and that's even darker down there. Your question was, I shoot at 1080 at 100 frames a second. So it takes around about 4 seconds to go from there all the way down. I think this is about 15 or 18 meters of track. Right? When you watch the first run, you know, like the very first time a car comes down, I've slowed that down to 50%. I use Final Cut Pro X as my editing software. And so when the car comes down first, I slow it down to 50%. When I go replay, or MC goes replay, then that goes to 25%. And that's where the shutter comes in. If you don't have your shutter set correctly and you try and slow it down 50%, or is that focusing? If you don't have your shutter set at 50%, God, where am I? If you don't have your shutter set at 200 and you slow it down 50% and then 25%, let's say you went auto shutter, it's going to look crap. So you need to have all these settings completely and utterly locked in. in order to slow it down to have fluid movement. And it's the same with the Tech. You know, this GoPro has exactly the same settings as this. Exactly the same. And that is how I'm able to slow it down, and so it sort of looks fluid and, you know, like natural looking. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. That's about it. I don't do anything other than that. I shoot it, I bring it into Final Cut Pro, I edit it out, I slow it down to 50%, I slow it down to 25%, and that's the final product. I do heavy color grading. I use a LUT that also sits on top of my footage to give it that sort of darkish look. And, you know, like here I am with the camera, it looks really, really bright on this iPhone. You know, it looks, it just looks terrible. But it's great for behind the scenes, the iPhones. So yeah, that's how I do it. And I don't know if I've showed you. So, you know, that's where this camera sits. He just sits here, something like that. And I use my GoPro app on my iPhone to make sure it's always in frame. And then the gimbal, and I haven't got it turned on because it's a bit hard. Hang on. See if I can do it. I don't think I can. No, it's all going to go wonky. I need two hands to turn it. I need to be able to flip it around. Anyway, so then I sort of stand here and then I track it all the way down. Track it all the way down. Finally to, you know, the finish line, and we do that. And I couldn't do it without this gimbal. There's no way. And this is my, I think, second or third Tech gimbal, because I use this on my day jobs for other bits and pieces as well. And I do have other gimbals. I've got a stack of camera gear. I just don't do this. I mean, it's what I do for a living. So there you go, mate. That's what I do. Final Cut Pro I use as my editing, to edit all the videos. I shoot at 100 frames a second. The shutter speed's at 20. I slow it down to 50% for the first run, and then the replay I slow it down to 25%, and that gives us, you know, the fluid look. I mean, let's just do another run with these guys. Now this is all auto. If I was to show you the footage out of the cameras, you'd go, what the crap is going on? Because you wouldn't be able to see it. It's so quick. But when you stand here with your iPhone, you know, it looks quite smooth. Go to Gasser. That Gasser went off. He's too quick. That bloody that Gasser. He's too quick. But don't shoot your iPhone. The iPhone's not the thing you need to shoot this sort of stuff, to get it to look, you know, the way it looks. So yeah, hopefully that has answered your questions. Catch you later, mate.